Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Our friend MarkPiegza from Synergy HomeCare of the Lowcountry is back with us. Good to see you again, Mark.
You too, Betsy. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of talk about some different things today, maybe not what you would automatically think of when you think of a home care company. And the first thing is that we want to talk about transportation and maybe helping people get to places that they need to go if they can't do that for themselves anymore.
Yes, absolutely. We have a lot of people who they either come home from the hospital or they have a doctor's appointment, or maybe they just want to go grocery shopping, and they either don't drive or they really don't want to drive. Maybe it's a little bit dangerous, eyesight issues. So we're happy to provide transportation. We don't have minimums and that sort of thing. So we have a lot of clients who just need help getting around, and we're more than happy to provide that service.
I think that's a great service. And in fact, when it's tourist season out there and we have all that traffic, it might be a service that I would think would be great for just anybody.
We're here for you, Betsy.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. And you also offer childcare, which I think is really interesting because, again, that's not what I would normally think of when I think of a home care business. So tell us a little bit about that service.
Yeah, absolutely. And we think it's going to get really busy this summer. We rolled this out right before last summer. We found that a lot of people came down here. The island was busy, but people didn't really go out. They stayed at home.
Right.
But this year, I think people want to go out. They want to have dinner. They want to play golf. So we offer those child care services, and again, all of our sitters are all background checked and licensed by us, so you know what you're getting, and you get great care for your kids.
And I mean, what a great service! Because you're right. When you're on a vacation, you love the family time, but sometimes you want to have a little date night or something. So that's a really great service.
Yep, a little break from the kids.
Yeah, and so you mentioned obviously that we are heading into summer. Talk to us a little bit about some things that you might share with your clients about their diet or their things that they need to be looking at as they head to summer to keep themselves healthy.
Sure. I think one of the biggest things is hydration.
Yeah.
And we find a lot of clients, they just don't drink enough, and especially as the weather warms up, they don't drink, and that causes all sorts of health issues. It can lead to dehydration, UTIs, lots of things that cause a lot of other complications, and we want to avoid those trips to the doctor or to the hospital. So staying hydrated is really important. I think also maybe not as big of an issue here in the summer because we get a lot of sun, but making sure that you get some natural sunshine because vitamin D deficiency is a huge issue for people also.
Right.
So being out, at least 15 to 30 minutes a day, getting that natural sunlight is really important for people.
So if somebody is, wanting to stay more hydrated, but they just say to you, they don't want to drink any more water. Do you have any suggestions of how they can actually get the fluids that they need without maybe having to just drink gallons and gallons of water?
Sure. Well, ice cubes are good. They can suck on ice cubes, but having one of our caregivers there often helps people because a lot of times they just forget.
Right.
They just forget they're thirsty, and having that reminder, maybe someone around to talk to, and then you realize that maybe you want to drink and you're drinking with somebody else, having a glass of water, instead of just trying to remind yourself all the time.
Yeah. And let's also talk about, somebody, if it's a family member, maybe you're thinking, I don't know if it's time for home health care, but it might be. What are some of the things that we should be looking for in our loved ones to say, maybe it is time that they need some help?
Sure. Well, maybe if you're either visiting mom and dad or you're on a Zoom call, and you notice that maybe they're having difficulty with some of those activities of daily living. So maybe they look like they're not eating that well, or maybe the house is cluttered. They haven't cleaned up in a while. It looks dirty, looks messy. Those are some telltale signs that it may be time for help.
Okay.
Or for the person themselves. We have clients who say, I can do all this stuff, but I just don't want to. I just want some help doing it.
Yeah.
So if you feel like, you sort of lose the desire to do some of those activities, that's a good time to look for help.
I think those are great points. What if somebody has a family member that they really do think needs some help, but that person would be very resistant to that idea? How do you kind of help them manage that situation?
Sure. Well, one of the best ways we can do that is if they can talk to their family member and maybe convince them to have us come into the home and meet them. And we come in with our client care team, we have a nice conversation, we talk to them about what they like to do, maybe what their goals are, how they can work towards the goals. And maybe their goal is, I just want to get outside and walk around a little bit. And we help them to try and figure out how we can push them or help them to meet those goals.
I think that there sometimes for people, there's kind of I don't know if stigma is the right word, but around home care, and they think that they've heard horror stories and they've heard things that aren't so pleasant about it. Tell us why you're different and the comfort level that you bring to somebody.
Sure. Well, I think we're different because of our client care approach and having our client care managers out visiting with our clients on a very regular basis. And they get that feedback on how things are going and maybe tweaks that a client wants to see in the service. And we make those alterations quickly.
Yeah. And as we've talked before, I know that you guys really do establish a relationship with your clients. So you do that very well. Thank you for being with us. As always, Mark, it's good to see you, and thanks for the great information.
Thanks,
and we'll
Betsy.
be right back with more Talk of the Town.